Well, hello everybody. Welcome to P.B.M. Money. Today, I want to talk about 15 more frugal tips that we have done to help us in our quest to save and invest money. Now, the first one, coming from me, is not going to be any surprise. And that is to use your credit cards perfectly. Pardon me, I have a frog in my throat this morning. But what that means is when you do credit cards, you get different cards for different purposes. As an example, my American Express gets me 6% on groceries. I cannot use a different card, I will lose money. So the best way to maximize frugality is to use the credit cards perfectly. Now the next one's going to seem a little odd, but keep your credit score high. Why? Because a good credit rating will save you money on rent, security deposits, car insurance, home insurance, life insurance. The better your credit rating, the better the risk companies are willing to take on you. Frugal tip number 3. Hire pros to do a job that you are not a pro at. As an example, I can do maintenance, can't do plumbing. So if I have an issue with plumbing, I'm going to hire that done. Now this is the one I've taught my kids, frugal number 4. Don't buy price, buy quality. My dad was the king of buying price, and it always came back and bit him in the butt. As an example, let's take tennis shoes. If you buy a $10 pair of tennis shoes, you will replace those things 10 times in the amount of time you could have bought one pair of decent shoes for $50. And the $10 shoes are not going to help your feet at all. A $50 pair of shoes might help your feet a little better. Frugal tip number 5. Stewardship, not money. Stewardship means to take care of the assets that you have and to do it to the best of your ability. Not to worry about doing things based on money. Slumlord is a good example of this. A slumlord worries only about the money. He doesn't want to spend a dime, and he wants to keep every penny and get the maximum rent. That's the definition of a slumlord. Stewardship says you have a property, you take care of that property, and the money will take care of itself. Number 6. And this should have been number 1 on my list. And this is tithing. How is giving 10% being frugal? Well, the answer to that is God can do more with 10% than you can with 100%. Always tithe on every penny that comes in. Frugal tip number 7. There is nothing wrong with going to Salvation Army for clothes, especially if you use work clothes. Pardon me. We were talking about tennis shoes. If you're going to spend and buy the $10 pair of tennis shoes, then go to Salvation Army and buy a pair of used tennis shoes for $4. That way it doesn't hurt so much when you have to replace them every 2 months. Frugal tip number 8. Go to thrift stores for furniture. I have been to a lot of thrift stores, and there is a lot of junk. But If you shop on a regular basis, you will come across that nice piece of furniture. And that's what you need to be looking for. Because buying furniture is nothing more than something to sit your butt on. If you want to go for decoration, then you're not being frugal. Frugal tip number 9. Garage sales and eBay. When you want to buy something and it's bric-a-brac or you're just looking for that deal, there's nothing wrong with going to garage sales, and sometimes you can get some real bargains. Also on eBay, same thing. Frugal tip number 10. Good maintenance on your vehicles and machines. Your car, your truck, your lawnmower, your riding mower. Good maintenance will, in the long run, is a very frugal thing. If you don't take care of your lawnmower engine, you're not going to get very long out of that thing. You'll have to replace the mower. But if every fall you drain the gas and the oil out, and in the spring you refill it back up and sharpen the blade and put in a spark plug, I mean, for, $10 you got a nice running, and it'll last a long time. Frugal tip number 11. Don't buy a new belt. What I mean by this is, if you lose weight or gain weight, don't just go buy a new belt. As an example, I recently have lost some weight, so instead of going and buying a new belt, I'm going to take a drill and I'm going to drill another hole in my belt so that I can use the same belt. I have done this for many years. Because I have a tendency, because of a medical thing, that I gain weight and lose weight, and I gain weight and lose weight. So I'm going to drill a hole in my belt. That way I don't have to go spend $8 or $10 on a new belt. Frugal tip number 12. Do your chores on off-peak hours. And by chores I mean doing your laundry. Off-peak hours means like after 8 or 9 o'clock at night, or before 7 or 8 in the morning, when nobody else is using it, because the electricity cost will be cheaper. Same with running your dishwasher. Frugal tip number 13. Now this is one that I always used to not do, but now I do. And that is, when you're brushing your teeth, turn the water off. Get your toothbrush wet and then turn your water off, and then turn it on when you're ready, when you're done. Now that sounds silly, but if you take an average of 2 minutes to brush your teeth, that's 2 minutes worth of water every single day, assuming you brush once a day, that you're wasting. You're wasting water. 2 minutes a day times 30 days is 60 minutes. You're wasting an hour of water running down your tube or down your sink that you're paying for, that you're getting no use out of. And you're paying for it. An hour. Number 14. Learn the difference between needs and wants. Now that sounds very easy and very simple, but until you understand the total concept of the difference between needs and wants, you're going to have problems. You need to have clothes to go to work. You do not need to wear Armani jeans to work. Okay? There's a difference. Frugal tip number 15. Repurpose things. As an example, if you get a physical newspaper, you could use that newspaper for many things. I use a newspaper as a substitute for a drop cloth because I'm a painter. So I use newspaper that's free as a drop cloth, so I don't have to spend money on a drop cloth. An old paintbrush. I use an old paintbrush to clean out the cobwebs from the ceiling. Old toothbrushes. You can use old toothbrushes for cleaning. You can, like behind the faucet on your sink. You take that toothbrush and get back there where you can't get. And of course, the old standby, using clothes, old clothes that are ripped and torn, you can use them for rags. And bonus tip number 16 on ways to be frugal. And I learned this when I was young. If you don't know how to adjust the water level in the tank on your toilet, you can take just a brick, a regular brick, and put it in the bottom of your tank. Now, why would you do that? Because that brick will displace the water and artificially bring that water level up. So you're saving water every time you flush the toilet. So that instead of putting, as an example, let's just say instead of putting 5 gallons of water in the tank, it's only going to put 4 gallons because the extra gallon space is being taken up by a brick. So just by putting a brick in the tank in your toilet, you will save water every single time you flush the toilet. I've never heard that one used before, but I've done it. Well, these are the 15 more frugal tips that we have done to save money so that we can invest. I hope you can use them, and happy investing.